Hey, folks, we're going to be talking about everything going on coming out of Alabama second scrimmage here in just a little bit. Kalen DeBoer is at the podium right now speaking. So we're going to talk about all of it as it comes in. Right off the bat, there's been a lot of talk around Jaden Roberts. What's going on with him? He's been working with the twos a lot in the fall. Folks are kind of confused about that. Coach DeBoer's kind of cleared that up. He's got a concussion. That's why he's not scrimmaging right now. They certainly will underestimate Ty Simpson's feet. Absolutely. Let me know if you're in here in the chat. Let me know where you're watching from. Are you watching on X, YouTube? Leave a big roll tide in the comment section. We're going to be listening to this together. I was trying to do the live stream and stream it, but it just wasn't happening. So I'm going to listen, and we're going to talk about the talking points when it wraps up.
How much does the second scrimmage kind of solidify guys' positions on the field, or are some of those still up for spots in the next 2 weeks of practice?
We actually made a big. What's up, Jay Bake? How you doing, man? Welcome in. We're just going to talk about the scrimmage. As soon as Coach is done speaking, he's up speaking right now, so we're just kind of listening. We're trying to get the live stream over here, but it was being a little silly, so a little laggy. So here, well, I'll tell you what, we'll try again. Let's give it a shot again. Let's get this up and see if we can get this to work for you guys.
Most tackles or anything. I thought the defense today in the secondary.
That's going to keep on lagging.
Did a really good job of making sure that they were getting the guys on the ground.
Yeah, it's not going to happen, guys. So apologize in advance. We'll keep listening on the old cellular device. Coach DeBoer up at the stand talking about second scrimmage right now. He's talking about the defense, discussing picks and how they still didn't get the picks that they want.
It sounds like they did well again with ball security. Is that the case? And also, what about the pass pro?
They did. We had one ball that was competitive that I think was called a turnover. Probably would have been on a review if it was a real game to see if it was completed and then forced a fumble. But I think that the pass protection is consistent, solid. I think the key is for the quarterbacks that they drop back and they are comfortable with what is going to happen, and that they aren't wondering, man, this guy, I just never know. I never feel good about the right guard, right tackle, whatever it might be. These guys, I think, when they drop back, and you're talking about all three quarterbacks, they drop back. I think they feel like, number one, the job's going to, the responsibility is going to be there, and number two, the production and giving them some time to work. You're not going to have all day, right? At this level, there's too many good pass rushers that you're going to have. But I think it's consistent. It's allowing the quarterbacks to feel good about keeping their eyes downfield. They're not worried about who's going to get beat. So I think across the board, the one-on-ones, they're doing a pretty good job. And then just schematically, I think I always do a good job of trying to help out, where we need to.
What do you think of the penalties that came out yesterday for the Michigan sign stealing stuff? Obviously, you played them in that 23 season.
I don't know anything about it. I honestly don't. I don't know what they got.
Coach.
I didn't read it.
Such a coach answer. Such a coach answer.
I haven't even heard about it. So you can tell me and I'm not going to respond, I guess.
I think they estimated a $20 million fine, and Sharon Moore got an extra game suspension, and then some people got show causes and
I got
other
you.
stuff.
I guess I don't know how in comparison to other issues that we've had over the years, how that relates, but
Can't believe I asked them that.
I don't have too much response, I guess.
Who asked that question, man?
Hey, Coach, circling back to special teams, can you just talk about the guys that you have back there on kick return and punt return, and is there an ideal guy or a committee sort of thing? Can you just elaborate on that if you can?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we haven't decided on who the starter will be back there. Guys that did a good job a year ago. We got Cole back there, really in both. And he started out as our punt returner a year ago, and he's did a nice job just being steady.
Yeah.
And then, I think new faces, you got Rico, probably kickoff return, can do some things back there for us. And then Bach, in both areas as well. He and Cole really, I think, can do both and provide a combination of just consistency with fielding it and then some explosiveness there. So I would start with those guys. There's more. Ryan had great experience there last year. Had a couple explosive plays. Got thrown into action there when Bach went down through the season. And so, I would have 100% confident having Jeremy Bernard set back there to field punts and things like that. But, that's kind of the nuts and bolts of kind of who we put back there.
Yes, coaches. Do you break this as the end of the second scrimmage as sort of a plateau, and along with that, getting here without too many injuries, I guess, probably be a good thing.
Yeah. I think we're in a spot now. You kind of saying the end of fall camp. Is that kind of what you're asking today? Yeah. I think that will continue a little bit into Tuesday. Really, school starts Wednesday, and that'll be the next thing, So our normal camp schedule, other than, just because of how it works out, we won't practice tomorrow or Monday, but Tuesday will be like a normal camp schedule. So can't really do that once school starts. We'll have a good practice even on the weekend, Saturday next week. Try to get back here is the kind of the plan as of right now. But I think injury wise, there's a lot of guys that got, that are beat up a little bit, but it's something that it was going to happen if you were going to be physical at all during camp. And we still have 2 weeks left. So the next couple of days, it's set up specifically for that reason, to be able to get these guys off their feet, recover a little bit, and then we'll certainly have a different type of week. We'll still have physicality, especially Tuesday. We'll get back after it, but it will look different. Like I said, we went hard last Saturday with a big scrimmage today, but also Tuesday and Thursday we did a number of live sessions moving the ball, just like you'd have seen out here today.
Let's finish up with Will on the right side.
Coach, you kind of alluded to it in your opening. It's definitely that time of year here in Tuscaloosa, weather-wise. Was the scrimmage start time today maybe meant to simulate some of what you'll be experiencing in Tallahassee in a couple of weeks?
Yeah, 100%.
Nice.
We actually had it originally scheduled earlier, moved it back just to get a little more heat, and it was good for us. We even conditioned at the end, did some extra work, and so just trying to get ready in every way possible.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, guys.
All right, guys. There's Coach DeBoer following Alabama's second fall scrimmage. Any takeaways? Tell me in the comment what you think The injuries seem that was interesting to me, talking about, the guys are kind of beat up, but they kind of expected that because they wanted to have a very physical fall. I don't know how I feel about that. I think I kind of like it. Tell me what you think in the comments. That was my biggest takeaway. Injuries, obviously, talked about Jaden Roberts having a concussion, Smith not scrimmaging this fall. The kick return question was pretty good too. I feel like, with discussing, he brought up Bach, and I think a lot of people are up in the air and don't know what to do with him, Waaaay, just because, he wants to play wide receiver, but the wide receiving room is so stacked. That's interesting to me as well. Something else I saw a soundbite. I don't know if it was from today, but Kane Womack is talking about Deontay Lawson, and how Lawson, he's just extremely impressed with the leadership there from Deontay Lawson. I think that is instrumental for Alabama's defense, just because, especially in that linebacker group, it is so young. So Lawson's going to be immeasurably important, I guess. I was trying to think of a better word. But yeah, Lawson's going to be incredibly important for that defense moving forward. But Kalen DeBoer, first and foremost, I feel like it's kind of fun to hear him talking now at these pressers and things after practices and after team events, just because he seems a little more comfortable in year two. Just hearing him speak, he seems a lot more comfortable being in front of the camera, kind of being the herald of Alabama football now. I'm sure that's a tough position to be in for him. I can't imagine, especially coming in with Nick Saban, and Nick Saban was so good with the media because there was so much reverence for him. It's interesting to see how Kalen DeBoer handles himself when he's talking to the media. In terms of what's gone on in this scrimmage, we didn't really get a ton of detail. He did talk about the secondary kind of not getting to the ball like he was hoping. But it does feel, I agree with this comment. It does feel like we're kind of getting back to Alabama football. I've said this in so many videos on so many lives. It feels like the mentality of this team, from the coaching staff down, really all over the place, feels different. And that's easy to say right now since the season hasn't started. But, it's exciting. It's extremely exciting. And it's hard not to get excited because the expectation in Tuscaloosa is so high. And we know, I think us as fans know that we have the talent on the roster to do it. We have the talent to compete with anybody in college football. It's just these small things that kept Alabama from it in 2024. And there's this underlying hope and desire that it's going to be fixed this year, going into this year. And so that starts with Kalen DeBoer. So right off the bat, hearing him be more comfortable in front of the audience, in front of, answering these questions, it feels good. It feels good. And I don't know who the guy is that asked him about the Michigan sanctions, but I think he handled that absolutely. He handled it like a pro, like he absolutely should. It's what a weird question. But in terms of, Bach being back there, yeah, he brought up Rico Scott. He didn't bring up Latia Brooks, which is interesting, Roan. I see that you're talking about that. Yeah, he didn't bring up Latia Brooks, but he did bring up Cole Adams, who did a really good job for Alabama in 2024, will likely be returning kicks back there. But he did say Bach was, Ryan Williams did a little bit last year. I don't expect Williams to do much of that this season. There's enough depth to where Ryan Williams doesn't have to be out there returning kicks. He does, Piano Man. You're absolutely right. He's got a completely different demeanor. I don't know. I can't really put my thumb directly on it, but he just feels more comfortable. And I guess that's the nature of the coaching position. Going into year two, you're going to be more comfortable no matter what. But when you kind of look at what he had to replace and what he had to deal with when he took the Alabama job, it kind of exacerbates how comfortable he is right now. So that's really exciting. But the biggest thing for me is him talking about injuries. It sounds like Alabama's been pretty blessed through fall. He did say that there are some guys banged up, but that was to be expected because they wanted the fall to be very physical, which that works for me. I like hearing that. I mean, I'm sure you do as well. And so, but he brought up Jaden Roberts again. If you're just popping in here, he brought up Jaden Roberts. He has not been scrimmaging. He before that, prior to that, he was working with the twos. Gino Vandermark was up there with the ones, and it sounds like that is because he has a concussion. So that's good to know that it's not. I mean, not that a concussion is not serious. It absolutely is, but it's not something that's going to keep him playing, long term. I think he'll probably be out. But he also brought up, the fact that we're 2 weeks out. So, practice will look a little different this week so that guys can heal up, rest up, whatever they need to do as we get closer to the start of the season, because he understood that fall was going to be very physical. He wanted it to be physical for these guys. And I respect that. I like that. I think that a team needs to go through some kind of like process like that, like a forge almost. And it sounds like that's what Kalen DeBoer and this coaching staff has created in Tuscaloosa. And so I think it's going to bode well in the long run, especially when we start getting kind of in the meatier part of the schedule in 2025 with SEC play. I think that'll bode this team very well. He did talk about Ty a little bit, Ty doing what Ty does, And so defense caught up to it. All right, Crimson talent. From what I heard from the guy there, good offense. Defense caught up to it some. The ugly part of the team was our kicking sucks again. That's what, yeah, he did kind of talk about Talty missing some kicks. So we might just have to suffer through that again. But that was a signature of a really good Nick Saban coach team, was having a terrible kicker until Will Reichert strolled on campus. So maybe it's a blessing in disguise, as as long as we're not losing to the Arkansas of the world and things like that because we miss field goals. I'm okay with it. I mean, it's, live kicking is a lot different than kicking in practice. So he did bring up the kicking game, which I know kind of made everybody pucker a little bit, but I mean, let's be honest, outside of a couple of guys, we've never been great with the place kicking. And so I would love to hear your takeaways from what you've heard from Kalen DeBoer so far coming out of their second scrimmage. I did a video earlier today, really kind of harping on these wide receivers. He didn't hit much on the offense outside of talking about Ty Simpson, but I feel like they understand, the coaching staff understands how important it's going to have to be for Ty Simpson to get in there, get comfortable, and really distribute the ball. Again, not a knock against Jalen Milroe last year, but he just wasn't consistent in doing that. It just wasn't a good system for him. Assuming Ty Simpson can be, this wide receiving room is going to eat this year. And I'm excited to see some of these guys that we talk about. Chris is really excited about Rico Scott. So it's kind of cool to hear Coach DeBoer talk about him returning kicks, because I think Scott could be that guy. You know what I mean? I mean, when I think of kick returners at Alabama, obviously we go all the way back to like Javier Arenas, but Jalen Waddle was a great one. I hated that he was returning kicks, but at the same time, he was so good. And I think Rico Scott could kind of be that flashy in the return game. So that'll be pretty great. There we go. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And then to Jay Rome's point, extra points only, baby. Yeah, looks like this offense won't be kicking many field goals this year, just a lot of touchdowns. I hope you're right. And it's hard. Again, it's hard to manage the expectations because as fans, we know the pieces are there. And you can see it. And so, if you watch these interviews with Kane Womack knows what he's sitting on. He knows. They talked about the secondary a little bit. Coach DeBoer did. He was asked about the secondary, so he answered the question. He brought up the secondary and them not getting any picks today, which tells me one of two things. We know from the first scrimmage that the secondary was getting very close to picking the ball up, but this means that the quarterbacks are placing the ball well. In my mind, that's just me. That's just what I think. That's what I'm saying. It means that they are placing the ball well. So, that's promising. That's exciting. It's promising, and it really excites me. And it's hard to kind of temper the expectation because every one of you in the chat, myself, all 8 of you now, 9 of you now watching, that this roster is really good. Despite the transfer portal, despite NIL, despite all these things, Alabama's roster is still full of 5 and 4-star guys who can go on and make huge plays all over the field. And that's exciting. And I can't imagine what that must be like for Coach DeBoer to know that he's sitting on that gold mine too. He's just a little more poised about it. But when you look at Kane Womack's face when he's interviewing, you can tell he knows. Like, he is well aware that he is sitting on something very, very special. I think Ryan Grubb kind of gives off that vibe a little bit too, especially with Ty Simpson. I mean, coming into that presser last week and going, "Hey guys, Ty Simpson's our starter." That was pretty cool. You know, that was really exciting to see that. So news straight from the horse's mouth, and the horse being Kalen DeBoer, coming out of Alabama's second scrimmage. Tell me in the chat what was your takeaway. There's 167 of you in here, so don't be shy. Leave a comment. We'll pop it up on the screen and tell us what you think about what you heard from Kalen DeBoer. Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. I think that's why the DBs aren't getting the picks that he brought it up. I also like that he brought that up publicly, because that's going to be a cherry pick talking point for the media and people like me. I'm not media. I'm just some guy that sits in front of a camera, but people are going to talk about that, and they're going to make videos about it, and they're going to make social media posts about it. So I like that he did that verbally. A little strategic there to kind of, light a fire under their ass. So it's exciting, man. It's really exciting. I can't believe that in 2 weeks from today, we'll be watching Alabama football. Also, I thought it was really cool that he admitted to moving the scrimmage time to kind of better condition the team to the temps. He said that they were going to scrimmage. The second scrimmage was going to be earlier in the day, but they moved it to midday so that it would better replicate the temperatures that they're going to face down in Tallahassee in a couple of weeks. So that was a pretty cool little strategic coaching move there by Kalen DeBoer. No ice cream trucks is my understanding today as well. So maybe there was one, I don't know. So, but yeah, not a ton of news coming out. We can kind of go ahead and do some scrolling on social media and react to some things, to what some people are saying. But it sounds like Alabama's offense is exactly where we expected it to be. I mean, it just feels like, with the naming of Ty Simpson, and Coach DeBoer talked about that. He was asked about it after the first scrimmage. He said it kind of just made sense. And that, they evaluated the whole product, and that gave them the best opportunity to win Ty Simpson. It's so hard to not have these ridiculously high expectations for Alabama's offense. I think some of that is because the situation feels very similar to 2020, when Mac Jones came in. But I would be careful with those comparisons, if you know what I mean. However, you can't just ignore those similarities too. And I don't know. It's hard to decipher what's coach speak and what is actually really exciting. You get what I'm saying? So give me a thumbs up down there in the chat if you get what I'm saying. Because a coach isn't going to go out and just dog their team. Normally, there are some coaches who will do that after a scrimmage, but based off of what we heard literally all fall, what we were able to see in person in the spring, and then what we're already starting to hear after the second scrimmage, compounded with what we got from the first, this offense might be one of the better ones we've had in 10 years. And that's saying a lot. I'm not saying it's going to be the best one, again, 2020, but this offense might be one of our better ones. Thank you. There we go. And so that gets me really excited, and I'm trying to be level-headed about it and not be ridiculous and get you hyped, because I know what's going to happen the minute that they don't click and Alabama loses a game. I'm going to get murdered on social media. Because Cotton said this. Well, I did. I'm not always right, and that's okay. Neither are you. And so, Mr. Cannon. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I can see that, Mr. Cannon. It did kind of feel like general coach speak. I felt like there were some tidbits in there that were kind of interesting, talking about Jaden Roberts, and then kind of talking about moving the practice. And he hit on the team being a little banged up, and how that they're, kind of expected that because fall scrimmage, he wanted it to be physical. So yeah, I mean, I can 100% get what you're saying though, because it does feel like general coach speak stuff. I think you kind of get a little more from Kane Womack and Ryan Grubb when they speak to the media. So yeah, you definitely want to be looking out for those when they come, because especially Kane Womack. Kane Womack is kind of guy that he just gets out there and says whatever. Like I said, I saw a snippet right before we hopped on. I just randomly was like, you know what, we should just hop on and talk about this. I wasn't really planning on it. That's why things kind of were a little shaky at the start. But right before that video came Womack talking about Deontay Lawson. That was really, really motivating, really exciting to see, especially understanding what Lawson's come back from with that ACL, and talking about his leadership and how that's going to be very important. And this is me saying this, not Coach Womack, but how that's going to be important because that linebacker room is so young. And so having a guy like Lawson, who is likely, if he has a good season, will be a first round talent, could be, if he has a good season, lead that room and kind of instill the values that were instilled in him by Nick Saban and kind of pass that down. That'd be pretty nice. So we do. Yeah, J-Rom. We do. Obviously, I think he said Smith didn't scrimmage, which makes sense. He's a little dinged up. And so I think you're going to see a little bit better of a rotation this year than we did last year. I just don't think Bama had the depth of the guys to kind of do the rotating that we wanted to. Once they started to figure it out towards the end of the season, you saw some pressure packages that looked a little bit better. James Smith, that's why he kind of popped towards the end of the season last year. I expect that to carry on whenever he gets on the field in 2025. So let's see. Yeah, absolutely, Chasen. Yeah, it's hard not to. Again, this is Chasen. This is my point. Is it's so hard to not be excited because again, we know we're sitting on a top 10 defense, and if this is a top 10 offense like we all expect, it could be really, really difficult to beat Alabama. It doesn't matter if they're on the road or at home. It could be very, very hard to beat them, especially if they can run the ball. And I expect that when the Tide go to Tallahassee, that's going to be their primary focus in that game, is to try to establish a running game, put that offensive line to the test early on. So we'll see how that goes. Another concern was Mack and Keelan getting fatigued by the heat. Sure, absolutely. Which is why he said he moved it. He moved the scrimmage, which a goated move by Kalen DeBoer, if you ask me, moving the scrimmage from earlier in the day to later in the day, just so he can kind of replicate that heat down here in Florida. I actually live in Florida. I'm from Alabama, grew up in Alabama, lived there, except for when I was in the military, lived there pretty much my whole life. And Alabama's hot, man. It's hot, but there's something a little bit different down here in Florida. I don't know. It's tough. It gets tough down here. Every summer I'm like, maybe I need to move back. So Justin Jefferson, J-Ron, that is somebody I talk about a lot. And I get hated on for talking about Justin Jefferson a lot, but I felt like Alabama's pass rush and defense looked a lot different when he was on the field last season compared to when he wasn't. And so I'm excited about Jefferson this year. There you go. Beautiful. Outstanding. What else are you guys hearing out of scrimmage? Tell me below. Tell me in the comment section. Hey, especially after Castellanos running that mouth, man. You know what I mean? Did you guys see the video I posted of Castellanos? I didn't realize he was that small, or that picture. I didn't realize he was as small as he is. I want to see how tall he is. How tall is Tommy Castellanos? Let's look it up. He can't be that tall, man. Let's look it up. He's 5'11". Okay. Oof. Yeah, I didn't realize he was that tiny. Not that he's tiny, but I mean, for a D1 college quarterback, that's pretty small. I'm excited about that D-line. I wish somebody would have asked a little bit more about the pass rush, but I don't have any. I don't have any concerns about it right now. I think that there's enough depth there to kind of get a rotation going early on in the season and to keep fresh legs in there. And I think that's what Bama was lacking a little bit last year. Like I said, they started to figure it out towards the second half of the season. You started to see some guys kind of pop, James Smith being one of them. I expect to see him have a really, really, really good year this year. I guess the biggest takeaway would be the fact that there's kicking concerns apparently again in Tuscaloosa. So, but again, that was a hallmark of many national championship Nick Saban coach teams. So I'm okay with it. Not really. We need to be kicking field goals. So J-Roan, let's see. Yeah, I'm thinking about finally getting the players he wants, and you see what he did at Washington. Yeah, we actually talked to Xavier Griffin, 5-star linebacker. He was on the show with us, him and his mom, and she brought up that it's kind of cool to see these kids that are there now. They're buying what Kalen DeBoer's selling. And I say it this way. Kalen DeBoer is creating Kalen DeBoer's Alabama, but he's doing it via Nick Saban's standard. And I think that any coach who came in after Nick Saban has to do that. Because, I mean, that standard, that process that Nick Saban always talks about and preaches about, that's something that you don't want to lose. It's become embedded into Alabama football. It is part of Alabama football. It's part of the history, the tradition, the legacy. So you don't want to lose it. So those Bama era guys who have played, or those Nick Saban era guys who have played under Coach Saban, they push that down. They teach that to the younger guys. And I think you're starting to see that matriculate down to these new guys that Kalen DeBoer's brought in, and they're buying in. And they were talking to, I mean, a lot of people who have been on campus, a lot of the recruits we've talked to, their families are all talking about it. And it's bred a really interesting culture at Alabama. And that's another reason everybody's so excited. So excited. The wide receiving room, obviously, Jay Money's talking about Isaiah Horton here. Yeah, Isaiah Horton is a freak of nature. I did a video earlier on Alabama's wide receivers. When we're done here, you guys go check that out. But we talk about Isaiah Horton, and the guy's, 6'4". He's going to be that big body wide receiver for Alabama. They've got a lot of speed, and now they've got some height. They bring in Derek Meadows, big body wide receiver as well. You bring in Isaiah Horton. You've got your sure-handed guy in Jeremy Bernard. You've got your big-time, Hollywood playmakers in Ryan Williams. You've got your speed guys in Rico Scott. You're going to bring in, and then there's Jalen Hill, which I'm so excited to see what he's going to look like. The depth and ridiculousness for Alabama at the wide receiving position is a little scary. If you're not Alabama, right? Back to the Kate Foster days. If it ends with them holding a golden chapstick tube, I'm here for it. Bring it on. He's about to regret it. Dude should have kept his mouth shut. So, oh man, yes, Smith should be back soon. He didn't allude to that. He really only alluded to what was going on with Jaden Roberts, and he said he had a concussion. So, okay, yeah, Crimson Talent prospects. How many TDs did Ty and Mac throw? Tell us. Tie through 2. We shall see. I would imagine those numbers will be made public at some point in time. So, man, getting all kinds of text messages. Anyway, how are we feeling, folks? Second scrimmage is over. Per Tim Keenan's comments about this scrimmage really kind of solidifies your position. Kalen DeBoer was asked that question. He hit on it a little bit, really kind of gave a coach answer. I think you're right, Roan. I think he'll do fine fitting in there for Roberts. That's assuming Roberts doesn't get to play. You've got 2 weeks. Coach DeBoer brought that up too. You've got 2 weeks till the season starts, so there's plenty of time. He said practice will look a little different this week to kind of give guys some time to kind of heal up. Fall was very physical, which is what they wanted. Roy Dale Williams. Hey, is Earl Little there? Or did he leave? I can't remember. I think Earl Little got out. Smart man. What about Malik Benson went over to Oregon, right? So, yeah, they were Bama U after Nick Saban, Bama transfer U after Nick Saban retired. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah. Worried about Wilkin Formby. Formby, I think, man, Wilkins, the left side of the line is going to be the strength, obviously, for Alabama. Formby got some very significant playing time last year. I think if we get in a position where we're having to kind of plug and move guys around like we did last year, that doesn't bode well for Alabama. I don't want to see that happen. I hope that they're trying to get it solidified beforehand. I think Formby is going to be okay in the long run. He's a youngin', man. He's a young guy, but I think he'll be all right. He like I said, it would be different if he was coming in and had zero playing time. But he got some significant playing time last year. So I think Bama's going to be all right, folks. So he played 9 games. He started at right tackle a couple of times. And again, remember that USF game, Bama could not move the ball. Some of that was on Jalen Milroe. Some of it was on the offensive line. But once they plug the right pieces where they go, what happened? Right. They start scoring. And so I'm not super concerned with Formby. Formby was a highly sought after recruit. And I think there's a reason, and I think it'll show. So I wouldn't stress too much about the offensive line yet. Now, we may play the game in 2 weeks, and I may be on social media screaming at the offensive line, especially that right side. So we'll see. And that's a good point too. You've got a guy who can get the ball out quick, as opposed to Jalen Milroe. Jalen Milroe, I think, this is just, I'm going to go on a little Milroe rant here, and it's not against Milroe. I don't know if you guys watched Anthony Richardson at Florida. I got to watch him play live at Florida, and Anthony Richardson had all the tools to be a really, really good quarterback. But he had this issue to where if he got in his head, he couldn't get out of it. It's like he just got stuck up there, and Milroe reminded me a lot of that. And so that's where a lot of those inconsistencies I feel like came from Milroe. So, I love Jalen Milroe. I hope he has a very successful career, but in terms of being able to process, I think the 3 guys that Alabama has right now might be better at that, starting with Ty Simpson. So it does take some of the pressure off of that offensive line. So, not too worried about it. Superfly, I don't know if you got to see Coach DeBoer's press conference, but he's, really was kind of harping on how physical he wanted this fall scrimmage and this fall camp to be. And I think that's going to help. I hope so. I didn't like what I saw in terms of penalties last year. Alabama definitely needs to clean that up. Also, here's to you, Staff Sergeant. So, all right, guys. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and hang it up because you got caught. And oh, wait, I can't now. I was going to, but now we got Herb and Raj in here. What's going on, fellas? How y'all doing? One of y'all need to jump on camera and come talk to me. Holler at me. I'll send you a link over on X if you're down. We'll give them a second to respond. Tell me in the chat, what are you most excited about? What's the position group that nobody's talking about that you think is going to be underrated for Alabama in 2025? I'm going to go ahead and get her and Raj set up here. Man, they can kind of help me out because I am, I got to tell you what, man, I'm struggling here still. For those of you who don't know, I've been super duper sick. Starting to get on the tail end of it. Wait, what happened? What on earth? Who did that? Been super duper sick, starting to get on the tail end of things, but still getting my tail kicked. It's not fun. Not fun at all. So, just a second there, fellas. I'm getting you that link sent over to you. I'm going to send it to you guys over on X, Herb. Sweating my tail off. It's so hot in this daggone studio. All right, there we go. It is sent, fellas. Come on. Come on and let's talk ball. J-Bait going off. Absolutely. Who's Wad? I'm just kidding. Obviously came along. Yeah, he did. I saw the video. I'm talking about Deontay Lawson. That one got me hyped because that has been a position of concern for me kind of leading into the season. Not that the linebackers are bad, just that there's a lot of youth at that position in terms of depth. So that one definitely kind of made me a little nervous, but good to hear Coach Womack kind of shore that up and make us feel a little bit better. Waiting on old Herb and Raj to get in here. Let me talk to him about this scrimmage. If you've got takeaways, put them in the chat. Give me your hot takes. I want to hear your hot takes for Alabama football this year. Put them in the chat. Yeah, if he can stay healthy. Yeah, if he can stay healthy, that's the big thing for me, man. He could definitely do it. I think Lawson has the potential to be a first round talent. Maybe not high first round, but he's really got to shine this year. I think where he's most valuable is leadership. Not to say that he's a bad player or anything like that. Obviously, he's one of the best linebackers in the country. But in terms of leadership and the value that he's going to instill to these younger guys, the accountability that he'll hold, he's a Nick Saban voice. So that's going to carry a lot of significance and a lot of weight for folks. So, I think he could have a stellar year, both in the locker room and on the field. So 12-0 isn't that crazy. It's not. And when they beat the hell out of FSU, everybody will be hollering 12-0. They're going to drop one. I mean, dude, it's a different era of college football. You know that just as well as I do. It's not the same as it used to be. Oh, I got somebody backstage. Give me a thumbs up when you're good to go back there. USC is the one that gets me. I don't know that Bama's going to have that much of an issue with Georgia. Honestly, I just don't. Not that Georgia's not going to be good. So. It's not Bama, baby. Old Pete Golden. Oh, Pete. Have you guys seen the trend on social media? Like, show me a time when you were scammed. This would be mine. Pete Golden. Herbie, how we looking back there, buddy? All right, he's coming on from the Herb and Raj podcast, straight out of nowhere because he wasn't planning on doing this. Welcome in, Herb. How you doing, man?
Man, I am good. We're out at the pool, and so I had to throw on stuff. If the bottom half of me is soaked right now,
that's okay. The top half of me is good. Soaked.
Yes. And I turned the TV on back there, so the people it's my brother-in-law's birthday, and so he's here with his family. And so they're probably all going, where did Herb just go? Because I didn't say bye to anybody. I just,
we're doing,
cotton calls, you go running, buddy.
Yeah, we're doing YouTube stuff with our friends, man. So did you get a chance to watch press conference?
No. So this is, because we go on at 7:30. So my plan was to get out of there a little bit and check some of the stuff out.
Okay.
In preparation for that. So no, not yet. I see what a couple people posted, all the quarterbacks. That's what she said. Yeah. I missed which part, but it was probably funny. If it's Jay Bake, that was funny.
Yeah, it was the you being wet down there thing.
Yes. My wife's watching and she's probably like, babe, really? I'm gonna get a text in a minute.
Sorry about that. It's Jay Bake, not us.
Oh, she's my wife. She's used to that anyway. So
man, so basically the big news I feel like, and maybe I'm wrong, chat, correct me. What's up, Nick? Roll Tide is that Jaden Roberts has a concussion.
Right.
We might not have a good place kicker.
Oh gosh. Because we've been spoiled for like 2 or 3 years. So God is like, look, if we're gonna give you a great defense and then several,
you can't be top 10 in all 3 phases of the game. That's just not fair. And so, and then it sounds like really cool. They asked Coach DeBoer about the time. He originally was going to hold this scrimmage earlier in the day and decided to move it to midday so that he could replicate temperatures down there in Tallahassee. I thought that was very smart. Now, I'm in Florida as we're talking. You're in Alabama, correct?
Yes, sir.
Right now, what's the temp there right now?
What are we like? I mean, we're heavily overcast today, so it feels like it's around 75, 80, and then clouds overhead, so it's not bad. But replicating the temperature, I remember when we went to Texas, and they sat us right next to the sun, which is what I would assume Florida State's going to do. And the guy when we went in was like, "Oh, y'all ready for these temperatures?" Oh man, it's hot in Alabama. And then you actually get there and it's game, and you realize, okay, maybe it's not the same kind of hot. So, smart move on his part.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, I'm like I'm from Alabama, grew up there, I lived there up until 4 years ago. But the heat down here in Florida is something different. Yes. I don't know what it is. It's the humidity that'll get you this and that. And then Bama just, the last couple times they've played down here, they haven't looked stellar. Yeah. And so I expect that to change this year. But in terms of the kicking game,
why? Because you just felt like I needed some heartburn today. Is that what it was?
I mean, I don't think it's that big of a deal. This is what I was telling everybody earlier. Like, I mean, how many Nick Saban teams had terrible kicking? The majority of them, right? I mean, outside of a couple of guys, that was just a staple of Nick Saban's dominant teams was they couldn't kick field goals.
Right.
And so, I mean, we had a year where you had 2 different guys. One was kicking inside the 30, and the other one was kicking over 30. Absolutely insane.
What is it? If you have 2 quarterbacks, you have 0. So, like, if you've got 2 kickers,
I feel like Nick Saban just was like, I don't care what special teams is doing.
Yes.
Somebody else do this. I'm going to worry about this over here.
Probably didn't even know the kicker's names. Like,
I bet you after he stuck Adam Griffith in that iron bowl with 1 second left, he knew he was.
Oh my goodness.
Oh man.
I was wondering when you started this conversation, I was like, that's going to come up.
It's got to. Look, everybody blames, and I know Adam Griffith got just destroyed for that, but I blame Nick Saban for that.
Yeah.
He put that kid in an impossible position.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the result was catastrophic.
Yes. And I think sometimes we see what kickers are now. They're improving. You're getting some greater range. I mean, even NFL, you're getting a 70-yarder. But back then, you didn't trust your kicker for much more than the extra point. Like, yeah.
That's crazy.
Are you sure it was even 2018? Because I wouldn't be surprised if it was up until like his last year.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, this is totally aside, but somebody said that penalties have been a problem since Saban retired. So you're saying like the 1 year? So they weren't a problem.
They were a problem before.
Yes.
You guys remember Leon Brown?
Yeah.
Remember that guy? Mr. False Start himself.
Yes.
They were a problem
the last couple of years. And then, last year they were a problem again.
I think there was some goofy stuff that people saw last year. You remember I think it was a 4th down conversion that we didn't get where Ryan Williams and Jeremy Bernard are shooting Jays at the line of scrimmage. I think stuff like that kind of exacerbates, the penalties, and it's frustrating. I don't think it matters this year, man. To be honest with you, Keelan Russell knows how good he is. He knows his bread's buttered. Dude, if you're as good as Keelan Russell is, I don't think you have a problem competing for the starting job. I mean, honestly, I feel like, and Herb, correct me if I'm wrong here, I feel like it was completely obvious that Ty Simpson was going to be the starter in week 1. I think if back in the spring, I knew that Ty Simpson was going to be the starter in week 1. There's no way Keelan Russell didn't understand that too coming in. So he still wanted to compete.
1,000%.
Yeah.
No, I think I don't think there was any way that they promised him you'd be starting in year 1 to get him here. Because what kind of program would ever do that? You're never going to promise, especially in a year where, it's only his 2nd year, but half the people are thinking it's a make or break. There is no way you're thinking he's going to trot out a championship level defense and a freshman starter at QB. And Raj actually did a video where we said underrated people in offense. We threw Austin Mack into the mix just because he has a lot more familiarity with the system. than Keelan
Yeah.
Russell. You know,
Yeah.
Austin Mack theoretically should be your number 2 going into this year. And if your only reason for having Keelan Russell up there is so you don't lose, now if he's won the number 2, that's fine.
Yeah.
But don't give him something he hasn't won just to keep him around.
Yeah, absolutely. And I did a video on this. I think I posted it yesterday, the day before. It kind of caught legs and went off running, but I kind of went on a tangent about Paul Feinbaum. But really, what I was talking about was there's this like culture now in college football, even in the NFL, where you want to take a quarterback, and because they're a 5-star or because they're a high draft pick, and you want to just plug and play, and that is not always doable.
No.
It's not. And I was talking about Graham Mertz. He was talking about that on the SEC documentary. Forgot what it's called, Any Given Saturday. And he was talking about his time at Wisconsin, where he's like, I wasn't ready, and I got put in there. The expectations were too high, and I failed.
Yeah.
And Coach Saban's talked about that, what that can do to those kids' psyche over the course of their career. You pretty much, Billy Napier was talking about it. You destroy their confidence, and that's it, man. It's over.
Yeah.
And before you got on, I was kind of talking about Anthony Richardson, Jalen Milroe, making a comparison there. I felt like that was kind of some of their problem. And so Kalen DeBoer and Ryan Grubb would be smart not to slap Keelan Russell in there before this rookie just because he's a 5-star.
Yeah, 1,000%. Yeah,
And
and
he
it used to be more acceptable. It feels like you got a freshman, they weren't starting, and then all of a sudden you get more transfer portal stuff, and people are like, all right, if we don't get our freshman out there, we might lose him. But that's just not the reason, you know.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
And look,
I
Jalen
mean,
Hurts was not the starter when he walked out there. You know, it just, hey, the other options in front of him fell apart. But I also think a running quarterback is going to have an easier time his first couple games because his instinct, he'll take off running, and you'll probably make more plays than not. Yeah. But in the long term, that's, you saw what happened, Jalen. Like, it just caught up to him before his passing developed.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Look at Jalen Milroe is a great example. The guy is super inconsistent, but everybody got hype again after Alabama beat LSU because of how they beat LSU, but he did it on the ground. Not everybody, not everybody's going to be able to do that. He wasn't throwing for 400 or 500 yards. He ran for 4 touchdowns. You remember Last Chance U?
Yes.
Rhett Lashley, I think it was, when he was at Auburn, he went down and watched James Franklin III play at a game in JUCO, and the guy ran for 4 touchdowns in 1/2, and he offers him on the spot. And what happened when he got to college?
Right.
He wasn't ready, man. He wasn't ready.
No. Running quarterbacks, the thing about it in high school is you cannot run everybody. And then all of a sudden you get to, the college level, and you're like, all right, I'm outrunning like half these people. And then you get to the NFL, and if you haven't developed, like, the 3rd string linebacker can still hawk you down. So
absolutely.
Yeah. And I don't know if that's a shot. I'm not taking a shot at Jalen anyway. And yeah, his long-term development was great, but you saw their plan was not to start him that first year. And I think that was a good plan. Look, it ended up being good, and his instincts took over, and he was great. He's a Bama legend. I love him, but the plan was not to start him in that first year. It just kind of happened. So
right. Yeah. And we'll see. I mean, again, just because Ty Simpson's starting against FSU doesn't mean he's going to be the guy moving forward. He doesn't. Now, something else that folks are talking, and Herb, you brought this up already, Superfly. Just hope we can avoid the penalties this year. It's been a problem for a bit. I have faith, though. Yeah, man, absolutely. And this to Herb's point, it's not just a problem under Kalen DeBoer. It was a problem under Nick Saban as well. I feel like, and you guys don't kill me when I say this. I feel like after 2020, there was something about the team that Nick Saban was kind of losing control of.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if it's because of NIL, transfer portal, all these things that he kind of talked about, but something just wasn't right. You know what I mean? Like, something didn't fit. Yeah. And you saw it a lot with the offensive line. You saw it a lot with some really dumb penalties. I love Dallas Turner so much, but there were so many times Dallas Turner was going after dude's face mask and stuff.
Yeah.
He just was. And so I would love to see a lot of that cleaned up. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. And the person is right. Like, last year was not good for that. I think for the end of Saban's tenure, I think one thing that we don't talk a lot about, because we do put a lot of it on NIL, But I think losing coordinators year after year after year also drains you. It hurts your recruiting because you saw that the natty we were at against Georgia. How are we running in there with like 1.5 good, two good receivers and like that's it? That's very un-Bama-like. And then like you said, all the penalties and stuff. I think that's kind of attributed to that. You can't keep a staff together. And I say not keep a staff. Like it wasn't his fault that hey everybody was so good they were getting other jobs. You know what I mean? But that wears on you as well, and it hurts your continuity, and it hurts stuff like this.
That's a really good point, and I don't think enough people talk about that, Herb. Just how difficult it is to manage not just the team but the staff, because it's the shit rolls downhill, right? So whatever Nick Saban wants done, that is pushed through that staff, and so I mean that's very interesting. That's a very interesting point that not enough people talk about, but it also lends itself to talking about the continuity with this, and we've heard that word used a lot coming into 2025, the continuity with this squad. Yes, you bring in Ryan Grubb. There's a change there, but Nick Sheridan has been with Grubb at DeBoer for a while.
Right.
You're keeping your DC, all the familiar faces are there. Dude, I feel like all the pieces are in place. I think Alabama has the roster to do it. I think they can win a national championship, not just this year, but the next 2 seasons. Am I crazy, Herb?
Next year, I want to see, just because I know we're going to lose so much. So you do have a highly rated class coming in. You're going to have enough holdover. That's the one I want to see. But this year, man, absolutely. And to the penalty point that we're talking about, and what'll lead into your point, you see the players taking way more ownership this year of what's happening. They're not talking anything about the coaching staff. They're like, I'm getting a chance to step as a leader. I'm getting a chance to do this. This is like, I don't like what happened last year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you see way more of that. So I think it's more of an accountability factor within the players. So I keep putting us at 10-2 for the regular season just because you have stumbles. If you ask me which 2 games, I'm not going to pick them. I'm just going to say. But when people ask me, oh, well, so you don't think we can win it all? I mean, Ohio State wanted it 10-2. I just think the SEC is tough and there's some hurdles, and you get banged up here or there. I think you'll find your way, there. But put us in the playoffs. Nobody's going to want to play us. I'll say that much. And there's nobody else that you honestly fear in the rest of the top 25. Like there's not a matchup that you're obviously saying in a neutral field. I think this team is better than us.
Yeah, that's a good point, man. Herb letting it fly, man. I like it.
Hey, got to come ready, man. Like I said, if Cod says, "Hey, Herb, let's go," I'm like, "All right, man."
I was running out of stuff to say, man. I was just saying the same thing. I was like, "Oh, thank God, there's Herb."
Well, at the very beginning of it, we had, like I said, we're out back, and I had you clicked up on the TV, but it didn't come up yet. So then, there's a 9-year out there, Henry. If you're watching, what's up? All of a sudden, my best friend, and for people with kids, man, you guys are the real heroes, because trying to keep up with a 9-year-old at my age is tough. So yes, you kind of saved me for a minute. Can I also say this, because one of the things you did mention was with Roberts. We mentioned this also. One of our unheralded people is Gino Vandermark, and the way they've been training him along the line. I think you don't want to lose Roberts, obviously.
No,
but I think the staff has been preparing for this too.
Yeah.
So not a huge surprise what I heard out of practice there. I think they're getting ready for that.
Sure. Now, how do you feel about Wilkin Formby? We had some questions about him earlier. He was a little hit or miss there when he played last year. He got a good bit of playing time, especially towards the end of the season. I feel like that's going to help him out this year.
I agree. And I think the staff, so one of the things we've always said is one of the best things that happened to the staff was having such a, up and down last year, and by Alabama standards, a sort of a disaster, because they realized what they need coming into this year. And Formby's kind of in the same spot. He made a lot of mistakes, but he was kind of thrown out there, maybe before he was ready. I think the staff knows that. He knows that. I don't think he wins a starting spot if they don't think he's ready. So I have faith in the staff. If they're putting him out there, I think he's learned from it. And I think they've learned from it. So imagine if Alabama goes 10-2 last year and we make the playoffs and out the first round. You probably don't see as much determination. Maybe as many people don't stick around. But it being the year that it was, I feel like the staff's like, all right, we can't do that again. So we're only putting people in the place that can get us where we want to get to.
Yeah. And another point, and then we'll probably wrap up after this, that a lot of people don't understand just how good Kalen DeBoer has been in year 2 everywhere he's been.
I agree.
This man, once he gets into the program, and Jeff calls it a wash year, he gets that kind of first year out of the way, it seems like things just work out for him.
Come on.
Tell him, come on, camera.
No, I agree. I mean, he's a proven winner. There's a reason why they chose him to be the next coach. Sorry, say hi, Henry. You got to step out, say hi. What's up? Say hi.
What's up, man? How you doing?
That's what he said. What's up? How you doing?
Good.
Yeah.
Give us a roll tide.
Give me a roll tide.
Roll tie.
What's that?
Look,
come on. Give me one with feeling. One with feeling, and we'll let you go.
Roll tie.
there it is. Yeah. Love it. That kid's tired.
Wanted to jump in the pool at 10, and it's almost 5 now. So yeah. You
need to go get you a sandwich,
Yeah.
some potato chips, and go to bed.
Yeah.
But
Sandwich, potato chips, bed. Nah, he's sticking up for the podcast later. He's gonna ride the treadmill the whole time we're on the air. So
good stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it.
But
All
to your
right.
point, real quick, and I know we're going. No,
Yeah.
absolutely, he's been a winner. He knows what the programs need. He also accepted this job. I always said the person who takes this job out from Nick Saban was getting fired in year 2 or 3. Just because it's an impossible thing to live up to. So I totally believe in him, and I think people need to back him a little bit more and understand, what the situation was last year, and he's finally kind of getting the team around to where he wants. And only year 2, I think he's going to be great. Full faith.
Absolutely. Well, Herb, thanks for hanging out with us. Tell everybody about the Herb and Raj podcast, where they can find you.
All right, Herb and Raj podcast. You see our Twitter handle there. You can go there and find all our links. But Herb and Raj podcast, we're going tonight live 7:30. Which, by the way, this kind of mirrors the last time you came on our show. Already on air and jumping on, so I appreciate you, man. 7:30 tonight, we're going live, and then Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Central, man. And real quick, we just always appreciate you guys, man. Like, seriously, y'all have been some of our biggest support. We love you guys, man. We're always here if you need anything.
Yeah, man, you guys are family, bro. Like, come on.
Say bye.
Bye.
Deuces, guys.
Thanks
for hanging out with me. Hey, guys. All right. We're going to go ahead and wrap up. Before you go, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, do all the things. Tell your grandmama and them about us. We got a good live show coming up this Thursday night. We're going to be doing our preseason picks. We'll do our college football playoff field, as well as predict the national championship, SEC champion. All of those things. We'll also be doing our week 0 picks. Those are always a lot of fun. Hot takes. You guys love hot takes. So be there 8 p.m. Central Time right here on YouTube or over on X, whichever you want to watch. Thank you for hanging out with me. Sorry about all the bumps and bruises when we first got started. That's just kind of how the cookie crumbles sometimes, right? As always, say your prayers, read your Bibles, wash your hands, horns down, beat Auburn and LSU and Tennessee too. Roll Tide.